Hello. Hello, hello. Oh, it says I'm live, but nothing's moving. And now it says page unresponsive. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? Is it back? Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. It's working now. Okay. If it's working now, that's fine. All right. Let me just post to everyone, like post on Patreon, stuff like that. The shareable link, and then everything should be fine. I think I was trying to. I don't know if it's going to do it again. Basically, I'm trying to go live on Instagram as well. So, but using my desktop, and because I got two cameras, you should be able to select the two different audios. And I don't know if, I don't know if I should try again because I'm worried it's gonna kick out the YouTube. And yeah. Anyway, let me just share. Let me just share the link first, and then everything will be fine. Okay, I'll just do it from YouTube. YouTube. Okay, let's copy link. Sebo, can you just post that, like, the thing's now live? That would help me out. And then I will just copy the link and post on Facebook. My mic's not muted again, is it? It says it's the one. Okay, good. Scared me. Sebo's just trying to scare me. Okay, good. All right, Facebook, and then we can start the questions. And I'll just talk while I'm doing this anyway. But thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for reading all of my works. Literally, this is my full-time job only because of you guys. And if you search in the archives of my Instagram, you'll see I did one of these when my vampire system ended. And basically, there were so many questions, so many different things. What's on your mind? Live for a Q&A on YouTube. Great, sharing the Discord. I did not want to share the Discord. Can someone just... Why does Discord do that? It's like, I just want to copy the link, and then it gives me the stupid, the whole thingy thing. Okay, that's fair. And then tag people for next. I wanted to do this before because obviously I didn't want to be doing this in the middle of. Okay, done. Post. Okay, done. All right, yeah. So I did one of these on Instagram a while ago, and there were so many questions. And the thing is, what tends to happen is basically I forget about the story, like because I'm writing new stories like a Legendary Blood Hunter or From Bullets to Billions or whatever. So if I don't do the Q&A now, any questions that you ask, I'm gonna have no idea what you guys are referencing to. So now let's get back to YouTube. Okay, you can all still hear, right? Hang on, maybe me, blah, blah, blah. Great. So I'll do a little bit of plugging. So at the beginning, so I've only got, as you can see, I've only got book 5 and 6. Book 7 is coming out in June of my Werewolf system. For anyone that is very confused, basically, the physical books and the edited books are behind the web novel and Patreon version. So on web novel, Patreon, my Werewolf system is complete, but the books, basically, they need a professional editor. They get professionally recorded by Heath Miller. And because of that, that's why these books take so long. So the publisher of these is Podium. And basically they do about 2 books a they do 2 books a year, so they're quite slow, but it's done. Like it's all handed to them. So this is where the confusion happens. I see on Facebook a lot. People are like, "Hey, is my well system complete?" And it's so confusing. It's like, yes, it is done, and they're like, "Well, is book 7 the last book?" No, it goes up to it will go up to 14 books. So the whole collection should be 14 books around this size. So you'll be able to number them all up, have them on your bookshelf. I'll need to get the rest. My friend has them because I live in China and they get sent to the UK. So anyway, this Q&A as well is only in is not just about my werewolf system. It's to celebrate the ending of my werewolf system, but it's not just about my werewolf system. So I want you guys to think of your questions. I saw some on the Patreon as well. Let me post on Patreon. I'm now live as well. I forgot about that. So let me just post on Patreon, because there was loads of questions on Patreon as well, which you can join as well. You can join Patreon for free. What the? I don't want to upload the video. Okay. Live queue. And hey, you can join Patreon for free, but you can't access the content for free. But if you want to like keep up to date with like updates and everything like that, I always make those posts public, so you can always see those fine. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, Seville. I'll for now. I'll just go through the questions that that I can see on Patreon and stuff like that, and then I'll go through the questions that are on the chat and everything like that. So I'll go through Patreon questions first, then any questions that you guys have on the chat. Like I said, you can ask anything to do, not anything, not like about my personal life, unless you want to do that. But you can ask anything about my stories, JKSManga stories. Let's see. So let's see the first. A lot of these questions, like, and it always happens. I would have answered them 100 times already, but there's always someone somewhere. You know, you can't be online all the time. You can't see every single update. So there's always going to be something that people miss. Okay. How do I? Okay, let's see the post. Go on. Great. Let's start from newest. Okay, I don't like the first question, but I'll read it anyway. First question: can werewolves learn abilities like humans and vampires did? What are they compatible with? I would say, I think I did answer this on the Discord before. Basically, not in the same way. Like, it's not like, because a human has ability, or with the books, they can't teach the werewolves the same way on how to learn an ability. But it doesn't mean it's impossible. So a good example of that is like the Dalki. And the Dalki couldn't learn abilities, right? But with True Dream's power, he was able to allow them to learn abilities. So werewolves could potentially get abilities like through that way, or through a method that's similar to that, but they can't learn it in the typical way that a typical way that the humans can. This person, and again, like I said, this is fine. So this question is by Peace. I have a question, but it's related to MVS Bliss. Told Quinn that Erin was the key to Imotui as she grew powerful when fighting against Imotui or his demons. So why did she not just give her the Godslayer ability, which she gave to Russ, and later asked him to marry Jessica? I'm not sure about the last part, but I kind of understand the first part. Bliss is it's a hard character to understand, because from everyone's perspective, because the whole idea of her is you don't know what she has seen or what she hasn't seen. So you don't know, is she doing something because it's something she has seen? Is she doing something because she thinks it's going to change something else or whatever? So maybe she's seen something that, you know, that just wouldn't work out. Like, or maybe Russ ends up the bad guy or something like that. So we don't really know how much she's seen, what she's seen. She doesn't know herself, which is kind of the main problem of if her changes affect stuff or not. But the whole idea is basically what she's seen is pretty much always true unless a talent is involved, which is why she's so focused on the talents, because they're the only things that can kind of change what her vision is. But what she tells people, what she has seen or not, is a different story. Will there eventually be a joint adventure where Gary and Quinn have to join forces? Answer, yes. If you are on the Patreon, it's now unlocked for the $10 tier. You can read or on web novel for I think like $1 or $2. You can read the first 6 chapters of MVA. I shouldn't say first 6 chapters because they might not be the first 6 chapters. MVA stands for My Vampire Awakening, which is the sequel or the direct sequel to My Vampire System. Technically, it's a sequel to all of the Talon books. But yeah, so and if you see those first 6, you will see characters in it and who is in the story, and it gives you an idea of like, oh, okay, you know. And I'll just answer this. It's not really spoiler because, you know, it's in the 6th chapter teaser, and I think people knew this already. But it's basically not quite Avengers because they're not superheroes in the same way. But that is the idea. Is like it's what you call it. It's all the main characters from all the books. So My Werewolf System, My Dragon System, or My Vampire System, Dragon's Revenge, are in the final book. So you need to read all the books or enjoy all the books to enjoy this last book as well. I know, again, another MWS question. I know this isn't directly an MWS question, but I want to know if those that work closely with Bliss, are they considered dedicated followers? So example, Lenny, Richard, Sam, and the Dragon Knights. I mean, based on what we've seen, the answer would be no, right? Because you'd have to, what do you call it? You would have to, the Celestial would have to give their Celestial energy to make them a dedicated follower. From what we've seen, the answer is no. But that's just from what we've seen, basically. Hi, will Reyes or Liam be part of Gary, Ty, and Quinn's journey? Now, if you guys don't know, Reyes is from another story I do called Dark Magus Returns. He was also a character that appeared in My Vampire System when Quinn, spoiler. So if you haven't finished My Vampire System, but it's not a huge, I won't do it for a huge spoiler. But when Quinn goes around working for someone, he meets this character. So it is the same character. However, the person that Quinn goes around with is meant to be able to like cross all worlds type thing. So technically, the world of Dark Magus is not the same world as My Vampire System. And what I mean by that is everything is different. So like there's no Celestials in Dark Magus Returns. The way Ki works is different. The way Chi works is different. All of that basis is different. And someone was like, oh, I'm worried that, well, recently someone said like, oh, they're worried that if Dark Magus would ruin My Vampire System. I goes, that's like saying watching Naruto would ruin One Piece. So they're 2 different stories. They're not, there was a cameo appearance, treat it more as a cameo appearance of like, hey, this is this character from this book, and not that, you know, it was its own thing. Can someone tell me if My Werewolf System still has a manga and where to read it? Because Billy Comics is not working. So for those who don't know, My Werewolf System actually kind of first started as a manga project. So I needed to make a manga for a company I work with called Shrine Comics. I co-founded it, and it was like, hey, what if one of my series is on it? So we made my Werewolf system for Shrine Comics, and then Bilibili, which is a Chinese company, Bilibili came over and said, hey, I knew the Bilibili comics guy because he used to be like the founder of Web Novel, and he wanted me to bring a story over. And the only story I had that I owned the IP for was my Werewolf system. So I let him use my Werewolf system to create a story. Then what happened was Bilibili International, not Bilibili, because Bilibili is huge. It's basically the YouTube of China. They decided to cancel. They got a new CEO who cut costs and wanted to cancel all the international side. And my Werewolf system was the first international comic series and the last. So literally, so that closed down. So because of that, Bilibili still had the rights. Now, usually in contracts, you have like, hey, if they don't use it for a year, you can get them back, stuff like that. So I got the rights back. And then another company reached out to me and was like, hey, we will pay for production of my Werewolf system. Can we continue the comic? But they have to use new art because Bilibili paid for the other production, so they own that art. So they have to start again and do new art. And then this new company is going through some weird shifts and weird stuff. It looks like, I don't know what. They'll probably be, I don't know, I shouldn't say it, but anyway, and they've asked like, well, what do I want to do with the series? Now, luckily, they said like, let's try pitch it to Webtoon, which is where I have 2 series already, just the Goblin Blood system. So if they take it, hopefully that'll be all good and that'll be fine. And like I said, I'm reading all the Patreon questions first, and then I'll go back to, and then I'll go to all the YouTube. I can see you guys asking questions as we're going through. Is it wrong to assume White, Bliss, and Sapphire are the same person? Sapphire, again, is from Dark Magic's Returns, but White and Bliss is from my Werewolf system, and I'll let you guys decide that. I think if you read the stories, you can make a decision. Okay. I think this might be the last question on Patreon, which is weird question. Gary with no weapons versus Quinn with no weapons. And I hate power scaling or versus questions because, like, honestly, and especially if it's from another series, like, fair enough, these are from, the same writer, but as a writer, like, you can always write a way for one character to win or not to win. So it never makes sense. It's like you could always write that something happens or whatever happens and then you come up with some sort of explanation. Now, the only thing is that explanation needs to be believable. If that explanation isn't believable, then it's like, it sounds like plot armor or it sounds like whatever, right? Anyway, that's the last questions from Patreon. So I will now go to YouTube and go from when the microphone was working. Sound, yes, no sound for me. Sorry, I have sound. Now you're making mute again. Okay, hey, well done, Logan, for fixing the sound. Okay, so will the new Blood Hunter series be on Audible? So Legendary Blood Hunter is the again, you can treat it as a direct sequel. What I do with all my stories is I make them like kind of standalone. You can still read the stories and enjoy it. If you just started if you started on Werewolf system, you can enjoy it. If you started on my Dragon system, you can enjoy it. And if you started on my Vampire system, you can enjoy it. It's up to now. There's probably a way that I would say is more enjoyable to read. Before I used to originally say my Dragon, my Vampire, my Werewolf. I've kind of changed a little bit to say start with Vampire, and the reason I say that is most people start with Vampire, and it seems most people enjoy Dragon, knowing that Dragon is about Rey braid talent, and so they can enjoy that. And it still works because all of the hints and things that you see, it still works. It just happens kind of backwards. So, but the only reason why I don't like saying go from vampire to dragon is because Dragon, or My Vampire's Revenge, is the first story I ever wrote. So the quality and the style and everything, it was the first time I ever wrote. So in terms of writing, it's gonna be worse than My Vampire System. And not that My Vampire System was good by any chance, because My Vampire System was the third book I've ever written in my life. So again, not saying that's good, but just to show how bad My Dragon System might be. So that's why what I don't want people to, what happened is like, oh, you read Vampire System, you really enjoy it, and then My Dragon System feels kind of like a step down. But the good thing is My Dragon System is a lot shorter, 500 chapters. You can push through it and just get the lore and the background. And that's what I would personally do. And then I would go to My Werewolf System. My Werewolf System starts slower because it was originally made for Amazon. So my writing style is originally for web novels. Web novels, you update chapters daily. It's meant to get people to come back reading every single day. You're excited every single day, so the pacing's a bit faster. Amazon, you have the whole book already. Usually people already bought the whole book, they're committed. So they end up reading the story. It doesn't matter if it's got slower parts in it. It doesn't matter if it's got more character building, more slower areas. So My Werewolf System is naturally a more slower starting story. And I say naturally because I originally wrote it for Amazon physical release. But as time went on, I went back to kind of like the daily writing style. And to answer the question, yes, so Legendary Blood Hunter will be on Audible. It will, which is the sequel to My Werewolf System. And but you can read it as its own book. And I don't know when that will be, maybe a few months. The publisher, they like you to have 3 books worth ready before they release the first book. And then that way they can be like, oh, you can buy this book and then go to the next one and then go to the next one. Got book 7 on pre-order. Thank you to everyone who's got book 7 on pre-order. I really like the cover as well. Can't wait for the full collection. Honestly, waiting for the signed collection to keep forever. Yeah, I mean, the 2 places, if I was to ever do a signing or like a meetup, the 2 places I would go to is the UK and the US. UK because I live there as well. And the only thing is, like, my books aren't megally popular in the UK. Like, US is the primary audience. So US as well. The problem with the US is it's so big. So usually it's just like you decide out of 2, right? It's like, hey, do you want to go East Coast or West Coast? And then it gets rid of everyone in the middle, which is a bit unfair. But I also, because I'm not from there, I can't stay there for a long time. So I have to kind of decide, like, oh, what should I go to? What convention should I go to? And I can't. I wouldn't be able to set up myself. It would have to be someone else setting stuff up. I'd love to do a signing. JKS, tell me your social security number. If Shin and Layla met, how would you imagine their interaction going? If Shin and Layla met, so Shin is the main female lead in My Werewolf System, and Layla is the main female lead in in My Vampire System. I think I would do if they met is like it'd be a little bit scuffle at the start or something, and then they would both end up just complaining about jokingly complaining about, like, Layla complaining about Quinn, saying, oh, he does all this, and Shin complaining about Gary. And I think that would be a cute scene to write out. It's like them two just talking about their partners, and then maybe, like, they come out and see the 2 of them fighting, and then them 2 need to to sort them out. Does Quinn have slightly curly hair or curly hair? If you read the novel, say slightly curly hair, not curly hair, slightly curly. Now, the thing is, most people read from or listen to, but this is what I think anyway. Most people listen to the Pocket FM version, and the Pocket FM version has the cover of Quinn with curly hair. That's what I would call curly hair. If you read the first original novel, the cover was made before the story. So Quinn is meant to look like how he does on the My Vampire System novel cover. So if you look up the novel cover, that is how his hair is meant to be, slightly curly. And I remember talking about this before, because in Asia, if I go, a lot of Asian men, especially because of Korean and stuff like that, they like to get their hair slightly permed or slightly curled. And that's kind of what it looks like. And that was the look of Quinn. It's like his hair is slightly curled, but not curly. So sorry for all of those who were confused. Will we ever see Quinn Talon again? Yes, probably one last time, which will be in My Vampire Awakening. I don't know. I won't say never after that, but I've been writing the Talon series since I was 23, and I'm now 30. Well, like nearly 30. So I've been writing for 7 years. I imagine Legendary Bloodhunter, which is about Ty Talon, will finish in 2 years. And let's say, worst case, I do want to start My Vampire Awakening this year, or at the latest start of next year, so January, at the latest. That would be, what you call it? Basically, because originally I wanted to do it after Legendary Bloodhunter. Legendary Bloodhunter would take 2 years, and then after that, My Vampire Awakening, I imagine 3 years, right? So in my head, that was 5 years. So I'd be 35 when I finally finish all of the Talon series from 23, writing every day, even on wedding days, even on anniversaries, even on eye surgery days. Every day from 23 to 35. And then I kind of want to take a break from the Talon series. Kind of want to take a break. Question: can a female werewolf become king grade? Yeah, I think so. I would say, well, this is the weird question, right? I think the more accurate question is, can women become alpha werewolves, right? I think is more of because the grading system was more, and I think that's more the question. And I would say yes, and I would have liked to explore that. I don't know how I would explore the Omega, or if I would just say it's exactly the same, just that they have to find a partner or whatnot. But yeah, I would say yes, and that was my idea at the beginning, because if you remember, for those who've read the start of the story of Werewolf System, Olivia is challenging Gary for the, although she wasn't a werewolf, but she was trying to challenge Gary for the alpha seat. So I would say it is possible, but I haven't put it in the book, so you can take that as half answer. I'm hoping after at the end of MVS, Bliss said it was saved by the 3 Talons, Quinn, Ray, and so I can't even remember that sentence. To be honest, I saw someone else asking that, and I can't even remember that bit. So sorry, guys. Like I said, why is the Talon family so special, though? Why them? And the answer will be revealed in My Vampire Awakening, which is the last one. Ray's is my favorite. Ray's is the best. Was Arthur alive during Ray's time as a human? Was Arthur alive during Ray's time? It would either, yeah, it's you know, there's a line before, because my dragon system was written first. There's a line where they talk about King Arthur, but they're talking about the real King Arthur, like the King Arthur as we know King Arthur, not because my vampire system came out after. So after, I was like, oh, it's cool to make, um, it's cool to make Arthur based off the legends. So that's kind of like was retcon. So the answer seems more like yes, but at the same time, since he's human, it technically, like when I start the timeline, we might have to do it a little bit after. Like Arthur would be the next generation after Ray's time, because if you remember, the vampires, they offered to help Arthur in his wars, help all that stuff. So my thing would probably be my dragon system. Vampires are created in my dragon system, and then slightly a bit after would be where Arthur's part would come into play. And then after all the vampires have had the Civil War, everything, blah, 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 then they bring on him as the 14th castle. He used to be the founder of Webnor, as in he's not anymore. He is not part of, the guy I was talking about before is not part of Webnovel anymore, because he moved to Bilibili. And because Webnovel is owned by Tencent, Webnovel is owned by UN, which is owned by China Literature, which is owned by Tencent. And Tencent own so much stuff. They own like part of Ubisoft, they own part of Discord, they invest in nearly every movie that comes out. So Tencent is an absolutely huge company, and they own Webnovel. And within, Tencent, they came up with the idea to create Webnovel. So he's the founder while he was working at Tencent. So it wasn't like, oh, hey, come up with Webnovel idea, and then Tencent bought them. They made it within, within the company. Just skipped. Sorry, the questions just skipped. Where is it? Oh, okay. Any chance we'll get an anime of any of these? It would be so good. I would love to. It's really complicated. The whole anime scene is really complicated. So the way anime gets created in Japan is they have a committee, and a committee is a bunch of companies together. Let's say like 12 companies, and they will all agree to invest a certain amount into the anime to create it, and they will all agree certain rights. So Bandai will say like, hey, we'll invest into this anime, but we want a percentage of merchandise. Another company will say, hey, we'll invest this, but we want a percentage of these rights, of the licensing rights. Hey, we'll invest in this and we want these rights. So in Japan, those committees are the ones that decide kind of what gets made, and then they go to the studios, and the studios essentially only deal with these committees most of the time, unless you're absolute huge studio like Amazon, who working with Witch Studios and whatnot. But most of the time that's the case. So because of that, because all these committees and companies that invest in anime are Japanese, they really only care about what does well in Japan. So they hardly look at the international market. So to get a true Japanese anime would be very difficult. What you can do is go to Western studios and try to get an anime, something made. Studio Mir, whatever, stuff like that, even though Studio Mir is mostly Korean. But regardless, let's say those studios that are more willing, but still the same thing. You have to find someone who is willing to invest. Or you can do things multiple ways. You can find investors, create it, and then try license it to like Crunchyroll or Netflix, or you can get them to help pay for production, but then you'd still need people on board. And the problem is creating animation in the US is a lot more expensive than Japan or Korea or China, like crazy. Like nearly 10 times more to create. So, and because it's so much more expensive than Japan, it's so much harder to get an animation deal. It's because it's just riskier, right? If an anime series in Japan costs 4 million to start up, but it costs 30 to 50 million to start up in the US, then they need it to make that much back. So that's, of course, I'd love an anime. Like it's not me stopping it. It's we need people to be willing to invest in it. MWS question: is there a way for Gary to color his hair like he tried when making the Howlers? What do you mean color his hair? Like change it to a different color? I mean, I would just say, I mean, he can't change his hair because his body is just regenerating and back to green. That was the I really wanted a unique hair color for the main character. That's why I decided to go with green. And I was like, oh, how can he stay green, right? Because his hair's, no one's hair is naturally green. So that was the idea I came. Will all these come to Apple Books or Pocket FM? The answer is I don't know. Apple Books probably, because it depends. Because if a publisher, so Podium, who do My Werewolf System, they used to be exclusive to Amazon, so it would only be on Amazon and Audible, and then they went wide, so then it was available on Apple Books and Google Books and everything. So it depends on the publisher for one, and the second thing is Pocket FM only license work. Well, they do have originals as well, but they have to get permission. So for Vampire System, Pocket FM got permission from a web novel. For Werewolf System, they need to get permission from Podium. Podium will not have a meeting with Pocket FM for some reason. And I've tried. Pocket FM really want to do Werewolf System. Podium don't. So, question number 2. Can you please say that werewolves have tails, please? I know they aren't really mentioned though. I would say they have, let's say they have small tails. So non-noticeable small tails. Or maybe some of them do. Maybe some of them have long ones. I think, I can't imagine, what's his name? Kai. I can't imagine Kai without a tail. Yeah. So, yeah. Is the ability to change fate in the Talon bloodline more ancient than Sen as a part of that bloodline's fate-changing quality? Sen got drawn into it, or is Sen's transplantation what did it? The Talon family started before Sen. And again, you'll find out more about that. So Ray was born into the Talon family. The Talon family was already unique before that. So, can there be a female alpha? Yeah, so that was what I kind of answered with the other one. There's been hints in the universe. There's been hints that the universe may be sentient. How sentient is it? God, my mouth's getting dry. How sentient is it? Is it the only true God instead of celestials who seem more like powerful entities serving the conditions the universe give? I don't think it's true sentient. I don't see it as that way. I see it as something that's always shifting and creating to stay stable. So it's not like I think it's Dragon Ball Super, right? You have that little guy with the thing that's like, oh, destroy this universe, destroy that universe. So it's definitely not like that idea, like it's one being. It's more just something that constantly shifts, creates, changes stuff to make sure it will always be stable. Where can I get physical books for your series? I'm interested in MVS. It's my favorite series across all formats, films, books, and video games. Thank you so much. That honestly means a lot to me. I made MVS because there's not really good vampire RPG games. And it was like, hey, this is my way of making a vampire RPG game. right? So and you can play as the character and have all the blood things, and what would you do if it was a game? But physical book, there are no physical books. If you see on my Instagram, there was one physical volume that I gave away during like some web novel event. I do not. Those weren't properly edited. Those weren't properly made. They were made on white paper as well. But it was something for people to have who supported me at that time. I got told off really heavily by web novel because I don't own the IP. So web novel, like, you can't do this. I was like, and I said, hey, you told me I was allowed to give away stuff. I was just giving away stuff for I was giving away stuff for in exchange for coins. So yeah, so so I had to stop that. But I then got in contact with a physical book publisher. I got them to talk to Web Novel. They are talking to Web Novel about creating a physical book. The publisher is very, very interested in creating a physical version of My Vampire System. There's just really hard terms. And the problem is, it takes 2 weeks at a time for one side to reply back. So it's like, oh, hey, we'll talk to our lawyer. They send the contract, lawyer changes some stuff. They come again. And it's like, oh, hey, we'll talk to our lawyer. Go, contract goes to that lawyer, takes 2 weeks, gets sent back. So it's been in conversations now since September. So nearly a year it's been in conversations about physical book. And they say they're very close, but they've said they're very close about 3 times. So I don't know when it's coming, but I really hope, end of next month they sign the deal, and then 3 months from there, the first physical book will be coming out. That's what I hope. I found your story through Pocket FM while I was listening to it. Oh, wait 2 seconds. Will you make a book over Gallon after MVA? MVA will have a lot of Gallon in it, so that will be part of his story as well. I found your story through Pocket FM. I was listening to it while comparing the writing to the story in web novel, and they aren't completely the same. On Pocket FM, it seems they added more words. Details in Pocket FM are changed or something. I was wondering if Pocket FM did it on purpose, or did you allow it? Pocket FM don't ask me about any changes or anything. They just do what they want. And I can't really say anything because the people who sold them the license was Web Novel, and Web Novel in their license allowed them to do that, which I wouldn't. But I would have said, and I've said this to them because I've met with Pocket FM all the time, and I say, I'm fine with you rewriting it for clarity, or just make it better, because I don't see myself as a writer in terms of like prose or in terms of flowery language or whatever. So if they want to rewrite it so it's more like a book, it's like, go ahead, just don't change any details, right? And I think the issue is Pocket FM heavily is an understatement, but use AI. And even if you look on LinkedIn, a lot of their company posts is all about, hey, we've now got this AI thing to do this. We have this AI thing to do this, AI. So my guess is, honestly, it's not rewritten by a person. They've just asked AI to rewrite it. And in doing that, it's come up with mistakes because the AI can't keep context, or they don't know what's important and what's not important because it hasn't read the whole story. And there's no one checking it. So sometimes some things slip through. Where can I find all your works, audiobooks? I wish the answer was simple. The answer is not simple because they're everywhere. So all my written works were basically on Web Novel. I'm trying to move away from that. And this is why not everything has an audiobook, because it depends if Web Novel decide to license it or not. They've licensed most things to Pocket FM. So Dark Magis Returns is on Pocket FM. My Vampire System is on Pocket FM. From Bullets to Billions is on Pocket FM. The books that don't have an audiobook, Level Up Zombie. I think that's it. Level Up Zombies, the only one without an audiobook. But My Werewolf System, so that wasn't signed to Web Novel. I own the IP of My Werewolf System. I signed that to Podium. That's why it's on Audible. That's why it's not on Pocket FM. So the answer is just not simple. There's not one place to find all the audiobooks. The best thing, honestly, just send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll direct you to the best place. So just ask me like, hey, I'm looking for this book, wherever. Can werewolves learn abilities? I already answered this question. It was the first question. I would like to think that Slough is Greylash City. Slough is my hometown in the UK. So none of this Pocket FM changes to the text are authorized. Correct. Does Ray have a soul weapon? I would probably say no, or not in the same way. Ray, especially now in the state Ray is now, is very soul state. Like all his power comes from him, and then the body is just like kind of the host. So that one's I need to think about that more thoroughly, to be honest. I love the new publisher that LBH is on. Yeah, Legendary Blood Hunter is with a company called Atheon. Atheon do a lot of series, a lot of big lit RPG series. So hopefully, who is your favorite My Werewolf System character to write? My answer would be Kai. I like Kai. It surprised me because a lot of the time, I remember there was one bit and people were like, hey, Kai is really being a dick to Gary. People were like, Kai is really being rude. Rude to Gary, and I can't believe he's doing this. And I was like, oh, I was like, that's very, like, I saw that as banter. I talked to my friends, they were just joking about with each other. People took it really serious, like, hey, really not being appreciative of what Gary's done, and Kai's acting like the boss, and it's like, no, like Kai never, if anything, Kai is so selfless, I feel like, in the story of like understanding Gary's position, and is the only person who can talk to Gary in that way. And I love that relationship between the two. So for me, the funnest to write in My Werewolf System is Kai, and then I'd say Midwar. I love writing. I love when the bad characters join the good side, because it allows them to still be ruthless, and you have an excuse for it. If certain characters start being ruthless for no reason, then it feels like, well, what the hell? That was just out of nowhere. But if it's a bad character that's joined the good side and then they're being ruthless, you're like, yeah, they kind of deserved it, basically. Where does Slough sit within New Bronzeland? Bronzeland was the old bit, right? And then New, that's a load of history that I probably haven't set out, so I don't really want to comment on it. Your books are awesome. Come to Florida. Isn't it really like hot? Not hot. I don't know the right word, but wet, humid in Florida. I'm not good for. I do want to go. I definitely want to go, but I've heard it's very humid, and I don't deal very good with humid. I love Level Up Zombie. Will we ever see it again? Zane Talon. I loved Level Up Zombie as well. In fact, Level Up Zombie was meant to be my next big story after Vampire System. So Vampire System ended, and Level Up Zombie was meant to be the next big series that I had planned. Unfortunately, it just didn't do well. Level Up Zombie just didn't do well, and Werewolf System was. So Werewolf System was doing so well, Level Up Zombie wasn't doing well. So, and I don't like to just leave books, abandoned. So I finished Level Up Zombie. I always do my outlines before I start writing, so I already know the end and everything. So it's still the same end I wished for, but everything just happened a lot faster. to get to that point. So I don't know if we'll ever see Zane Talon again, but I would like to do another zombie series proper. I just think web novel wasn't the right platform for it. I think it didn't get the reach that it kind of deserved. I'm from the Caribbean and your books are amazing. Thank you, King's Wolves. Kevin is my favorite character because he is my character, even though sadly he was not there often. Yes, so I remember that. It was, Sevo Kevo helps out greatly on the Discord. He's one of the main mods, helps set up everything basically on the Discord, has been a follower for a long time. And a Patreon support for a long time. And I used to have a tier on Patreon as well, where people could make their own characters into the story. But I thought, Kevin deserved the character into the story for all the help he had made. So that's why I brought Kevin into the story. And yeah, I mean, I think I originally planned to do more stuff with the orphanage and stuff, but these stories get so long. And you kind of need to know which way to not go. I know that I'm technically spoiling this for myself and for anyone else that you tell this to, but who is the legendary blood hunter? What is he? Quinn, vampire, Gary, is he werewolf? If I would say read Legendary Blood Hunter, you'll find out. You find out quite quick, like not super quick, but maybe in like episode 8 you find out. So you kind of find out what he is, not fully. And it'll be such a huge spoiler if I continued on, but yeah. Shin would kick Layla's ass. Low. Question 3. Was the Ice Wyvern guy considered a mythic altered also? What about Ice? Ice was a mythic. Ice was based off Yeti. So Ice was definitely a mythic altered. The Wyvern was definitely a mythic tier. Maybe even if there was like an in between, like mythic, whatever, blah blah blah. I would say the Wyvern was a little bit higher than Ice. Fanboy Expo in Knoxville, ICCC Comic Con in Nashville. As I mean, you guys have Comic Cons everywhere, so I just can't make them to all of them. I've got kids and stuff like that. Where are people asking these questions? Anyone in chat knows? All right, just wondering, that would be a good idea. Seems like Titan is what we thought. He was going to be a Dampier. Again, read the story. Will Gary become a Godslayer? I know he isn't a Talon, but I want him to be able to hang with the other protagonists. I mean, again, the answers and things like that will be answered in, answered in Legendary Blood Hunter. So is Shin the canonical pronunciation, not Zin, like he says? Yes, Chinese name. So in Chinese pronounces their X a certain way. I don't know why you're pronouncing it with a Z, but who knows? Does Ray have a soul weapon? Again, what about Quinn and Gary? How would their interaction go? You will find out how their interaction will go. Quinn and Gary. I draw him with curly hair. That can be your BQR version. MVS is mostly one-to-one with web novel on Pocket or FM, but they went wild with rewriting on the MDS part. I believe that was true. I believe the new MVS version is not the same. There is a new MVS version on Pocket FM, and they have rewritten that quite a bit. Not story content-wise, but the words. I'm sorry, but the MVS novel looks really curly, whereas comics is less curly. I mean, of course, it's not what we're debating here, but I agree. Why is my vampire system on Pocket FM? Because they web novel. This is actually easy answer. When Pocket FM started, they, with like every company, they ask for money. You call it a seed round, and in the seed round, thank you. Sorry. in the seed round, you ask for investment. Tencent invested in Pocket FM, so they were one of the seed companies that invested, and because of that, they were like, "Hey, can you work with Web Novel on these stories?" And they gave them Vampire System to work on. So that is why Vampire System is on Pocket FM. I know what people are going to say. Pocket FM is expensive. Pocket FM trash, whatever, blah blah blah. And I agree with all that, and I think it's valid complaints. The thing is, Pocket FM put a crazy amount of money advertising my Vampire System, absolute crazy, that Web Novel never did, and that publishers don't do. Like Werewolf System is with Podium. They hardly advertise it at all because most publishers don't. Publishers just kind of they make a deal with 10 authors and then hope one book does really well. And Pocket FM did crazy amount of advertising with MVS, and that is the reason why so many people know my Vampire System today. So as much as they're scummy, their business tactics aren't the best. They cost a fortune for a lot of people, and now some people are going to say, well, they have ways to make it cheaper, which is true. But yeah, even though that's the case, I have to also be grateful because it's the reason why most people now know about my Vampire System. The Black Swordsman is a Talon, right? He has to be. There's a note from his system that says something along the lines of Talon quest line or something along those lines. I will not answer that question. The infamous JKX predicts the timeline of finishing works. Do not expect accuracy from this. Yeah. Well, so my idea is, like I said, I want to stop writing Talon stories after my Vampire Awakening. Maybe not completely. There'll still be the side stories. Like I have the first Vampire Punisher, the Godslayer is out as well. So both those will be on my Patreon. And I would love to, what you call it? I probably might expand on bits in there, but what I mean is I won't write so hard. I think I have 8 ongoing projects that I work on every day, and I think it's fine. I did it, like I said, I did it from when I was 23, and it was really easy when I was 23. I had a lot more free time, and I could just write. I didn't have all these business talks or these negotiations or these deals to go through or these emails to answer. And now as time's gone on, I've had less time to write. And because of that, even the workload has got more, and even the projects have got more. And I'm burning out as I'm getting older. I've got a son now. You got adult responsibilities. I got a kid. I had to go through buying a house, things like that, and all of that plus 12 projects is crazy. It's like I say to my wife, for instance, I have 2 webtoons with Webtoon, and usually it's one person's job to do. That's their full-time job, is to work on one webtoon as the production, and I've got 2 webtoons, and I'm also writing 4 ongoing stories. Now, of course, that's on myself. I'm the one who's doing it. But I think I can only continue this pace on this many projects. And example, I think in terms of word count wise, I write 3 books a month. So no author, and I work on the comics, no author is writing 3 books a month. And it's started to wear on me more as I've gotten older, which is why in my head I predict I just can't keep going on at this pace, unless I overdose on caffeine all the time. So go back to lulls on the break. Like I said, I'm see another thing. So I'm in talks with a traditional publisher like Penguin to do a series. And I want them to pick up a zombie lit RPG series, but that means another book. But also, how can I turn it down? It's hey, Penguin comes to you and they say, hey, we're gonna have your books in all the stores all over the world. this is the chance for you to make a story that's like the next Harry Potter. And it's like, well, what am I meant to say? No, come back in 5 years after I finish all these stories. Like it just so that's how all these projects happen. Can you explain the significance of werewolves with brown, gray, and black fur? Originally, the reason why I did that was originally I wanted to do something with the furs, but I just thought it would be too complicated. So it kind of changed to just like an easy trait to recognize a certain werewolves. Apart from like Kai's, because Kai's werewolf is specifically a certain color. It was also meant to hint at who had whose DNA in MVS. So you're meant to be able to figure out like, oh, this person had this werewolf's DNA. This person, like Chris, has this werewolf's DNA. Thingy has this werewolf's DNA. So that was kind of the idea behind it. I think the better question is, will you unveil who the Black Swordsman is? I will. I don't know where to put it, to be honest. The Black Swordsman story, I was thinking like, oh, should it be in Legendary Blood Hunter? Should it be in My Vampire Awakening? I don't think I'd give it its own story, but I think maybe My Vampire Awakening, everything will come. Hopefully I'll remember to answer all these questions. That's another thing. In 5 years, then it's like, oh my god, I forgot to answer this question. Is the shadow ability supposed to come from Imotui to Crad, or did it come from Crad with Imotui powering him up like it does come from dragons or God? I don't know what you really mean. I mean, the shadow ability belongs to Crad. It doesn't originally belong to Imotui. It's just Crad. But I don't really understand the second half. He doesn't remember that sentence. That seemed to be a pretty important sentence through at the end of MVS. I don't remember most of MVS. I do not remember. I write so much, I cannot remember what I've written 5 years ago. I will, even when I was doing MVS, I was like, I need to reread. The other issue is, so I told you I outline everything, and I had notes for like, oh, I've had this sentence and this is going to become this in the next book. But that was 3 computers ago because I've broken so many computers. So 3 computers ago, I had those notes, and those computers are lost. So I'm going to have to reread and try hope it gets back in my head. I thought MWS started after MVS. Yes, my world system started after. Oh, no. If you mean timeline, my werewolf system is before MVS. I wrote it after my vampire system, but my werewolf system is before my vampire system. So it goes my dragon system, my werewolf system, legendary blood hunter, my vampire system, my vampire awakening. And I made a whole timeline that I posted on Discord and on Facebook if you want to see that. I hope you make a book about Ganon since he's Quinn's kid, and I think he will get strong. But that's basically My Vampire Awakening will cover a lot of Ganon. So much so that I think you will not want another book of Ganon. Will you do another Connected Universe series after this? I would love to. Honestly, it's kind of a crap answer, and I don't like it myself, but it does. And it's true, it just has to be. It's like it does depend on how popular a series gets. So if Dark Magus was hugely popular, it did good. Dark Magus did well, but it didn't do hugely well. And if it was hugely popular, then so many people want more stories from that. So it's like, yeah, I'll do more stories from that. If it's not hugely popular, I will still do other stories that I want to do. I'm not the type of like, as you can see, I do From Bullets to Billions, which is a complete passion story I want to do. So if there's a passion story I want to do, I'll do it regardless. But then there's no point connecting it for the sake of connection purposes. So it's like, there's no point of making From Bullets to Billions connect to Dark Magus Returns or whatever. Unless it's just like some sort of fun Easter egg type thing. So I would love to do another connected universe series, but honestly, it depends like how well one of those books do. What if the Alpha is a woman? What does that mean for the Luna? Does it still have to be a woman, or does it have to be the opposite gender? I don't know. That's what I was answering earlier. I wouldn't know if I would make it forced to be what you call it, forced to be the opposite gender. I don't think I would make it. I don't think I'd make it that it'd have to be a woman, but I don't know if I'd make it forced to. Is it? I don't even know myself now. I think it is forced in my werewolf system, right? Like Gary has to pick a woman. He couldn't pick Kai to be his to be his what do you call it, Luna. So maybe I would force it to be the opposite gender, but I don't know. I think back then when I was deciding on the decision, I was trying to look at like what the current law is within those stories. The problem is so many werewolf stories are like steamy romance stories, like, so it's really hard. Oh my god, the questions just skip. All right, I'm gonna go from bottom. Well, no, I shouldn't go from bottom. Oh my god, where was I? Okay, I'll just start from here. Who is your favorite MC? Ooh, probably Ray. Probably Ray. And this is favorite from writing perspective. Like, my favorite main character in general is probably Quinn, but from a writing perspective, Ray is more fun. Gary is very Gary. If you buy volume 1 of My World System, you'll see Gary is more based on my brother. His name is Gary. We both grew up in Slough. So Gary is based off my brother, and Quinn is basically just based off myself. Like Quinn, because it was just the easiest way to write. Like if you haven't written a story before, it's like, hey, what's the easiest thing to do? Oh, just make the main character yourself. So the main character was pretty much based off my Quinn was just based off myself, so I can't say he's my favorite character. But Ray is the most fun to write. What are some of your favorite movies? What has influenced you? I've described MVS as some of my favorite genres of sci-fi, powered people, space, aliens, weapons, technology, video games. And those are, I don't have, it's so hard when someone's like, hey, what's your favorite movie? And it's like, it depends at the time. It depends on the time when you're watching it. Depends what mood I'm in. Depends what, you know. I love all that media in general. Like, I don't play that much games anymore, but I used to play so many games growing up. Movies, like, it'd be whatever my dad was actually the one who was into, like, Underworld, Blade, Predator, all those, like, types of, I don't even know call them niche or what, but all those type of series. So it's literally an influence of so much stuff. Manga, anime, webtoons. I consumed so much media growing up. I used to wake up at like 5 a.m. just to watch shows for 3 or 4 hours before going to school, and I'd come back and then just start watching shows or playing games when I came back. I can't do that anymore, but yeah. Do you know of the delay going on with MVS Comics? No, I do not. You're right about Midwalk's name pronunciation. I kind of feel Quinn didn't learn much about his parents. Will we as readers learn more about him? You know, someone brought that up and I thought, oh yeah, we haven't really. I would love to kind of do that. But then what I don't want to get into is filling in every single gap. That's my only worry. Is I know as readers we want to know every single thing that happens, but even now it's gotten so much harder to write the stories I want to write the way I want to write them, because I need to check, does this fit into this gap? Does this fit into this? Does this make sense? Like, oh, I need to make sure a statement of uh, uh, Quinn's parents doesn't contradict something that happened here. That doesn't contradict something that happens on this timeline. That doesn't contradict this book. And that's such, and I just want to write. So it's such a mammoth task. So I don't want to fill in every single gap. And the more books there are, the harder that consistency checking comes in. Quinn is ruthless out of nowhere though. A lot. I mean, we all get anger tantrums and things building up once in a while. No, Florida is hot. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. But hot I can deal with. It's like hot and humid is the issue. Hot is fine. Like, I'm from Thailand. Originally from Thailand. If you wondered why I look Asian, because I'm from Thailand. But so Thailand is hot. It's not too humid, but when it's really humid, like I have eczema. I get really itchy. Everything's sweaty, turning red. So yeah. Do you think we would get any of the books turned into anime? I hope. No deals on at the moment. I hope so though. Will Ray relearn his abilities in MVA since we saw him saying this body done well, getting used to his powers? I'm not too sure about that. It's a decision that I will have to make. Maybe I would do something like Ray's journey to try, really come back to what he was fully before. So maybe I could do something like that, but I'm not sure. Is Kai, Austin, Inu, Marie, Olivia going to be in LBH? Yes. Yes, basically. Thank you so much. Do you write Blood Queen Reborn? No, I do not write Blood Queen Reborn. I do not edit it either. That is written by Fantasy Life. That is their own story. It is a retelling of my vampire system from the beginning. If Erin was to get the system instead, it's not canon. I see it as like, and this is the weird thing, because then people are like, oh, why didn't you just write a story? One, it's not my story, and two, when people ask like, well, why didn't you just write a story through Erin's eyes? I would have preferred that. And it's like, well, then just read my vampire system. What, you want the exact same story but from Erin's point of view? I think that's boring. The whole idea is like, well, of what if stories is kind of like a butterfly effect of change of like, hey, what if this happened instead? What would be the huge changes in the story? So I think it's weird that you guys just want more of the exact same, and Blood Queen Reborn as well, the way I saw it. Like, you don't have to read it if you don't want to, but it's also, I think it's a nice entry point as well for people who've never read my vampire system, who maybe prefer that star or prefer that character. This is going to sound weird and sexist, but I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't come across that way. But like, I like to self-insert in stories. So I do read female lead stories, but typically I read more male lead stories because I like to self-insert. So I like to imagine myself as the main character. And I imagine there's also women out there is exactly the same. So I feel this also gives another chance of opening up the story. And what I do really like that Fanta is doing is in Blood Queen Reborn, they're filling in gaps that were shown in my vampire system. Like, there's more backstory about Peter and his sister and that, and there's more subclasses of vampires that are appearing in Blood Queen Reborn. So it's a chance to explore, and that Fanta does write to me on those things. So I don't edit the story or anything, but Fanta does write to me like, hey, I'm thinking of adding like this subclass or whatever. Do you think it's good? And I was like, oh yeah, I think it's good. I'd love to use that in Legendary Blood Hunter and stuff like that. So yeah, Fanta, it's their own story. It's not canon. But it's officially like, you can think of it as like published under me, right? Like if JKSManga was a publisher, you can think of its story as officially published under me. There is the Godslayer, and which is a story about Syl, and the First Vampire Punisher. Those two stories are not written by me, but I write everything about it. So I am the one that does the outline. I then every chapter that comes in, I edit the chapter to make it flow the way I want it to flow, but I don't write the story. So I do the outline, do it together with the other person, and it's chapter by chapter. So the outline is chapter by chapter. So everything that happens is my way, but I'm not telling them like the dialogue or the banter between characters and stuff like that. That's up to the writer. But if I don't like something, I'll say it. Like, example, there was something Syl said, and I goes, I don't think this sounds in character for Syl. I think at this point, I think Syl is still, you know, he grew up mostly with a childlike mind, so I think he'd still be in that childlike nature at this point in the story. But yeah. Godslayer is really good, though. Thank you for enjoying Godslayer. I hope people who've read my Vampire System check out Godslayer. That will also be on Amazon as well. We're looking for a publisher for that one. Will we see the Dark Magus conquer the Divine Realm? Most likely, no. I might write a story. I was writing to someone today, and it made me think like, oh, maybe I'll write a story in the Divine Realm that's not doesn't follow Ray's, but Ray's is in there during the time, and I think that would be quite cool. When are you gonna hit stateside and do Comic Cons? I don't know. I was in LA. Like, man, I got such bad food poisoning, and people are gonna hate me for this, right? But I did not like In-N-Out. Like, I tried In-N-Out, and everyone was telling me, I was like, hey, is there any food that we should try? And everyone's like, you should try In-N-Out. You should try In-N-Out. I did not like In-N-Out. I'm quite a fat person. I like my food. Well, I like bad food. And I couldn't finish it, that I didn't like it that much. And I never, even if I don't like something, I finish it. So maybe I only got it once. So maybe it was that In-N-Out. But then I asked my friends from the UK, and I was like, did you go In-N-Out? And they said they did not like it as well. So I don't know if it's a UK taste to a US preference taste. But yeah. I would love to know who Syl's wife's name is officially. We'll find this information. I'm hoping to go that far in the Godslayer. If Godslayer does well, I'm hoping it will go that far. Have you ever considered self-publishing with Amazon? Yeah, it's really difficult to self-publish though. Like if you publish with a hybrid publisher with like Podium and Atheon, it's essentially self-publishing. Like, so if you go through traditional publishing, so basically you got three options: a traditional publishing, which is like Penguin, those big, like you call them the big ones, and they'll get you in the stores, but they typically give you low percentage, and then you got hybrid publishers which give you high percentage, like Podium and stuff like that. You still get upfront. They do all the editing and they do all that stuff. So, and then you can self-publish. So in my head, it's like, for the little bit of to save myself a headache, it's better to just let a hybrid publisher deal with it, and I'll give them some percentage rather than doing it myself. In 86s in the summer, I do not know Fahrenheit. Bring in the doggo. Will Ray was the Leviathan a dragon technically, since Lupus got celestial energy? Yes, the answer is yes. That was the hint when he got celestial energy, that the Leviathan was a real dragon, or type of dragon, I should say. Bring the family to Nashville. It would be a great trip. I'd love to. Like, this is the other thing. If I went to the US, I'd want it to be like 6 months, because the US is so big. I'd want to explore it all. And my son is turning 1 next week, so he's kind of young for that, to be traveling. So yeah. Are all 3 legendary birds Shin's Beast, and Stanley Beast all demon tier? I wouldn't call them. I don't know if you can, because demon tier is like a ranking made up by the humans, right? I guess based on the crystal as well, because the legendary birds are kind of like wyverns. I kind of see it. They're definitely. I would say they're definitely at least demon tier, because let's say if you had dragons and wyverns are under dragons and dragons are godslayer, so then what's under godslayer is demon tier, right? So in that sense I would, but I would kind of try to categorize them different. I found a loophole. If person learn an ability and if they somehow become altered, they can keep their powers. The prisoner arc in MWS, if they got turned into a glutton, will they still keep their powers? I don't really know. I don't really know what's being asked there. Is Shin Chinese? Not the name, the character. Oh, yeah, she's meant to be Asian, basically. But no. Wait. Let me take that back. Because I just realized something. Yeah. Sorry, they are Asian. Shin, Jaden, everything. The whole family is meant to be Asian, because the Jaden is also the white tiger. White tiger is one of the 4, not the 4 things, but I don't know if you guys ever watched Beyblade with the white tiger and all of Ray's. Again, that's where the name Ray came from, which was Beyblade as well. But Ray's whole family was Chinese and everything to do with that. So, can we expect Syl to have his powers back in MVA, considering Morty died and his powers are gone? No, I would not expect Syl to have his powers back. Because that was a power. It was more, the clawback was more from the powers that he had given to people, not because of what he had done. It's a bit like saying, well, Immortui killed all these people, so shouldn't they all come back? So to me that doesn't make sense. So it's like he lost his powers because of a fight, but what was taken back was all the powers that originated from Immortui. Were the other Zodiac alters in the one gang all mythic tier or just normal? They weren't all mythic tier. I think a lot of them were normal or just strong, right? Is Quinn being able to use the last of Ray power when he was in the system, transforming to the vampiric Crimson Dragon Warrior due to his dormant dragon blood, or the system, or both? A little bit of both. I always like to say the system is a cheat that allows Quinn to do more stuff, but everything is still from Quinn. But it's a cheat that allows stuff to come forward. Does Gary somehow keep his powers after Quinn beats Immortui? We know he's featured in MVA, but is he still a werewolf? Yes, he is still a werewolf. So that means, yes, he gets to keep his powers. The answer is, how does he get to keep his powers? Why would werewolves go away? Am I missing something? Lol. That is the question that everyone's asking. Why wasn't the werewolves involved in the Dalki War? Why weren't the werewolves? But it talks about it in MVS. It talks about the werewolves are extinct. So yeah, it's something you'll find out in Legendary Blood. I don't know. Can the Luna consume a powerful beast and then gain a special form and trait similar to the Alpha and Superior Shapeshifter? I will say no. That is something I want to leave especially for the alpha and especially for the shapeshifter class. Werewolves went away after Queen beat him or Tui. Don't really. Yes, they did. Pocket FM seriously advertised. That is why I became a fan. Yes, exactly. Damn it. Is Ray in MVA back to his strength at the end of MDS? I don't know about full, because there's one thing he doesn't have is all his abilities. And if you have 1,000 abilities, that makes you so versatile. Like you can come up, and you can see this with Syl. It just makes you, allows you to come up with so many ways, different ways to win a fight. I really would like them to fix DMR on Pocket FM. Such a good story. I can ask about it. I know they messed up a lot of chapters, and I can ask them about it. The issue is Dark Magic's Returns just didn't do well, so I don't know if they'll bother to fix it. So that's the thing. I can annoy them, but I just don't know if they will. Pocket FM are quite lazy in that half. We'll see sparring between the 4 main characters in MVA. Yes, I would like that. Is RLRD in the Talon universe, or is it a different one like My Zombie System? There is no My Zombie System. There's Level Up Zombie. My Zombie System probably would have worked better. Return of the legendary ranked dragon is a different story. Ever think of having Gary's future final form look like the Lantern Great Werewolf? I do not know what the Lantern Great Werewolf is. Sorry. Yeah, another series is completely nuts. Can you tell us what his Godslayer crystal does? I don't know whose Godslayer crystal you're referring to. The start of Legendary Grim Hunter is literally peak after MWS ends. Thank you. Does Syl have True Dreams ability? And I can't remember. I want to say no, but I can't remember. Was it something? Because didn't they do something with Shiro? And Shiro had. I can't remember. I really can't remember. What happened to the sleeping celestial who had used the ball to access his power after MDS? Again, I can't remember what that question is. Thank you for your answer. I was just googling it last night. It was bothering me, lol. So the Black Swordsman is not Gary in MDS? No, I don't know where this rumor. I mean, Gary had the sword in my Dragon system, and it had the similar effects. Maybe not exactly the same, but similar. Why not do a standalone with the Black Swordsman? It's something fans want bad. Because it means another story. Like I plan to release everything about him and his past in My Vampire Awakening, but that literally means another story. So you are my inspiration to stay writing. Thank you. I thought the person in the sword was Gary from MDS. Yeah, I don't know where that rumor came from. I don't know who started that rumor, but I see that all the time. He might be the real original Talon. Why are Dragon Crystal based abilities vampire compatible and not human compatible? Is there a trait to them that causes this? Is vampire, not human? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but the idea is just vampires and humans are like different racially. A dragon, let's say when a dragon dies, they have crystal. You can still give the crystal to the vampire to gain powers, or you can give the crystal to the human. They just can't learn from each other. So it's not that. Let's say what's a vampire ability? Let's say the trap one that one of them has to set traps. Let's say that came from a dragon, right? So you have the dragon crystal. You can still give it and force a human to learn it with the crystal, the trap ability, but then the human just couldn't teach it to the vampire. They just can't, different cells or whatever. So that's the idea behind it. It's like you can give it to whoever you want. It just, the power comes from a dragon. But they decided, for some reason, which you'll find out later, is they decided to give these dragon abilities to these to the vampires, basically, and they all learn them from the crystal. There comes a time when you need a manager. I have 2 to 3 assistants working for me, which does help, but not in the same way. Not in the same way as a manager. And then I do have an agent now, but that was work in itself. I had to send them every single contract. Will you be publishing more alternate timelines? I'm not sure. A lot of people have asked me, and again, it's more work for me. I'd have to hand it off to someone. Yeah, it depends. It's just more work for me, to be honest. And it's like, well, do you guys want me to be publishing more alternate timelines that other people have wrote, or do you want me to focus on writing my own stories? You know. Any thoughts of a prequel to MDS Adventures of Ray the Red Dragon? That'd be weird to write as a dragon. That's the only thing. I know he could probably shapeshift and stuff. It might be a nice like 1-book thing, but again, that's another story to write. That was 3 computers ago. Is wild. Yeah. All Vampire Lord abilities God Slayer abilities. That falls into like kind of spoiler territory, so I won't go into too much in there. And I would need to clearly write it down to clearly have an explanation for it. So I wouldn't want to answer it here wrongly, if that makes sense. Will we see any kin of our main character, like Syl, Peter, or Vorden in MVA? Peter Chuck is the GOAT. Peter Chuck is one of my favorite characters, and I think I said this in the last Q&A, but he was meant to die, but I liked him so much that I was like, I cannot, not in the first, I don't mean the first part, because obviously the first part I always planned to save Peter. And if you saw the comments on Web Novel, people hated that decision. When Peter was saved and turned into a ghoul, people were like, I'm dropping this book, I'm not reading it, Peter should have died, blah, 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 you know. And this is one of the things where you shouldn't listen to the readers and comments that you get. Because, yeah, and I was like, no, you know, this is my plan. My plan was to keep Peter, etc., blah, blah. But then he was meant to die later on, like much in the second half. And I just couldn't do it. So I was like, nah, I can't kill Peter off. So we might see some characters. I might leave it as well, because as cool as that stuff is to do, again, I have to make sure like then everything matches up timeline wise. So it's easier to just be like, well, we don't know how much time has passed and we don't know how much, you know. So that's why I might leave it. Hey Jack, sorry if you answered this. I got on late. Do you plan to do any more within this universe after my Vampire Awakening? I don't plan to do any. Let's say like if we have the whole timeline and my Vampire Awakening is at the end, I don't plan to do anything after that. I might fill in stuff, but I don't think I'll do anything after that. Again, the comments skipped right down to the bottom. And then I lose my place. Where okay. Yeah, check. Will Gallon? Well, Syl shouldn't have True Gene's ability. That is in the doc. Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't gone through the whole thing yet. So, Will Gallon? Yeah, it should be. I know Shiro has it, right? Or did have it. I really can't remember. Will Gallon get a system? Not in the same way that everyone else had. Gary had the sword. The swordsman was already in it, if I'm not mistaken. That's part of what drove him mad. Correct. Well, Gary never tried to pick a same-sex Luna because he automatically assumed it wouldn't work. We don't know if he could have forced the system to do it. Yeah. So I don't know. I just remember trying to do research into what other, I think they call them Omega-verse stories do. Ray nailed it. Oh, come on, you know it's Ray. Can we get a shout out for Stark from MVS? That poor guy was goated. I loved Stark. There probably was like I don't get emotional in general, in real sad emotional. Like I get angry a lot, but not sad emotional that much. And writing MVS, there was only two scenes that I thought were like made me emotional. One was Stark's sacrifice, and like no one knew how big of a role he played, really played in it, right? And the second one was when Quinn comes back and meets Fex from the after waking up, and Fex says like, dude, and that was really hard for me to write actually. And Fex is like, don't you damn say like sorry. Like if one person doesn't have to apologize, it shouldn't be you. And that was what you call really emotional to write that one. What was your inspiration for Stark and the Pinsui? That was the most enjoyable part of MVS. It was the thing from Ben 10 that can run really fast. A lot of the aliens were just based off Ben 10 characters. Question 5. What type of card game player are you? 1, aggressive. 2, control. 3, balance. I like weak. I like having a load of weak characters on the board and just like spamming. So I think that's control. So more control. And that's a good thing. Like I don't know if you guys seen my Werewolf system is being turned into a trading card game. Some people are already playing it in the beta. It looks really fun. I can't play at the moment because all I've got is Apple stuff. I am more of a PC. There's so many complicated reasons why I had to switch over to Mac, but I'm more a PC Android guy. But now at this moment, I have no Android or PC, so there is nothing I can play the card game on. It will be coming to Mac and iPhone, but yeah, I can't play the game at the moment. But everything looks really cool, and we're gonna have a really cool video to show you guys, hopefully in like a few months as well. I need to know. I'm sure you've seen my theories about Amy Dem having dormant werewolf DNA that could potentially awaken. My question is, was I onto something, or did my theories not hold any water? I think I can't remember if I did plan to do something. So I might have written something or hint with the intention. I think when they were speaking to Gary's father for the first time, I think I wrote something with the intention that something might be able to happen to Amy, but I decided not to go through with it. So you might be right, but I can't 100% say for sure, or whether I was just trying to say like, if Amy had come into contact with the suitcase, the same thing would have happened to her. I would be really cool for it to be like the end of the story where Ray gets his powers back. I hope Quinn gets way stronger than Ray. No way, for real. Agree to disagree. They're both OP. I don't like the Aaron book. Never really liked her. And that's fine. You just don't have to read it. It's not canon. You know, like it's not. I'd say like the details can be canon. The details you didn't get from MVS can be canon, but the line is not the same. So it's fine if you don't want to. There's no reason to. I like Quinn, but Ray, MVS first. What did Onozoka mean when he said we won back then? All of us did the impossible to survive. That is also a spoiler. So that's a spoiler. And you will hopefully find out in My Vampire Awakening. Ghosted insinuates Jack would be hiding the fact that someone's writing it. Yeah, it's not ghost written. It's more like co-written than co-written than ghost written. Because ghost written is just they just put one name. I still say ghost written, but yeah. I wasn't a fan of Aaron. Quinn had inherently good values that made him easy to get behind. To me, Aaron had a deep-seated evil envy. Well, you can read BQR to see if that's true or not. I feel, especially at the beginning, Aaron was misunderstood. And I also feel as time went on, we didn't really actually get to see her side. She didn't turn evil because she wanted to be evil, towards her halfway through. So I would disagree with that. I was wondering if Quinn would have saved Eren, how much would have changed? Not much. I don't think much at all. I think they would have been together fighting, and it would have probably made their lives easier when they went to the red space. But in terms of story wise, not much. Quinn, or maybe Eren would have been, to be honest, maybe Eren would have been driven by guilt, and she couldn't do much. Blamed herself for being weak, and then rampaged and charged into the red space and just just died. But yeah. Will we see any kin? Oh, yeah, we already got that. Since the Celestials got so scared of dragons to kill them off, can we consider dragons to be a race of god slayers? Pretty much. In and out sucks. Overrated. Okay, what do you mean? Burgers are fine, but not the fries. Oh god, same with me in and out. I had it once during my travels, and it made me sick. I was throwing up for days. I don't think that was in out. I think that was some corn dog thing that I had. But my god, I was dying. Who was talking to Jessica, the vampire mind in MVS? I can't remember. Hi JKSManga. Will we get more into what happens to the Dem family line when the Dalki War started? Very unlikely, to be honest. You will get, at the end of LBH, you'll find out what happens to the werewolves and the Dems, and that should probably explain from there. The crystal rays gives Quinn, where did he get it from? I mean, you can just decide that for yourself, like during the time skip, when he comes back, when he's protecting, when people came to the world. There's so much stuff that you can think of. Will the system users in NVA get a system update? Probably not. And every system story does this, and every lit RPG you read will do this, where the system is the heavy focus at the beginning. And as time goes on, the system becomes less of the focus, and you start getting into the story. And MVA will be the only one where all the characters are already quite strong. And the system is enjoyable when you're learning everything about it and when you have that feeling of progression. So that's why you enjoy that part of it. And then when they've already progressed enough, the system can only be interesting in certain ways, or unique things coming up, unique quests coming up, things that haven't happened before, rather than that progression feeling, because that progression feeling is pretty much gone. Which is why in MVA it would be really weird, even if they had an update. It's like, well, what would you come up with and stuff like that. What I do want to explore is like the celestial system, the 10 different levels or 5 levels that we didn't get. You should publish some maps like JK Tolkien did for their worlds. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to read my work and see what the hell these maps are meant to look like. And maps, the content keeps getting wiped out. Yeah, exactly. I have to create a different map for each different book. Quinn mostly used his powers for good. He wanted to get stronger for the right reasons. Eren was power. Oh, you guys are having your own. Not for nothing. I kind of thought that Syl was gay. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that again. I'm not gay, but like I don't know. Gay is not the right word. Like of what I described the original intention of Syl. Syl was definitely meant to be more like, because like I said, remember Syl was childlike minded, so he almost was meant to think like, oh, he lost the last person he really cared about, and then he put those thoughts on Quinn. So he felt like Quinn was his possession, right? At that time. So Quinn is mine rather than gay. I wouldn't say gay is the right word. The white tiger is the mythical Bayako, right? Yeah, exactly. Wait, Blade, Dranza on Phoenix Dragon, Tortoise One, and the Tiger. Exactly. Blade reference. I didn't expect that. I love in the UK we only got 3 animes: Blade, Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm not going to count Pokemon. Blade, Yu-Gi-Oh. Basically nothing was shown on TV, but Blade and Yu-Gi-Oh was everywhere in the UK, but there was nothing else basically. Blade series was made to sell toys, but it became a goated anime. Yeah, I watched every season of that, and even when they changed the art style. JKS, I'm not happy that you're going to make them extinct coming soon. Do you follow any archetype structures while outlining? I don't know what archetype. To be honest, I don't know what that means. Archetype structures. I just have when I plan. Do you mean like? I don't know what that means. So I would have to Google what that means. Is Galen still a vampire? Read My Vampire Awakening, or the 6 chapters out or the moment. We got last 5 minutes, guys. So because then this has been going on for 2 hours, and I do need to write today. So feel free to go with your questions. Does Shin still have her lightning powers like Dormant? No, she doesn't. Was Ray at any time considered a dragon god or just a god slayer? Not a god, but he was considered like the strongest of dragons. And I will probably explore his story a bit more in that sense, because I wanted Ray to be considered a loner even among the. Well, we see a little bit of his story, and how Crad looked up to him and stuff like that. So, will Dark Magus get a physical book too? Very, very, very unlikely. The only 2 books that web novel even considering doing physical is Shadow Slave, which is coming out, and My Vampire System. And Dark Magus is like rank 50, right? And My Vampire System and Shadow Slave are ranked 1. Well, like My Vampire System's finished now, but it was ranked 1 back in the day. So it is very, very unlikely that Dark Magus will get physical book. Will we see Gary Dem learning an ability in LBH or MVA? Not that I have planned, but I'm not going to say no because I haven't planned MVA. Aside from like who the enemy is and like the ending of My Vampire Awakening, I haven't decided like everything that happens in it yet. That I want to reread My Vampire System first. Will we see any of the close friends family in My Vampire Awakening besides Minnie, Galen, Cisneros? That yeah, like I said, I'm not sure. I don't think so because, and you understand when the story's written, there's basically going to be 2 parts of the story, and the first part is going to be like set away from everything, and then the second part will be like leading up to the big finale, and then that's it. By the vampire compatibility abilities, I meant the shadow ability and the 13 family abilities. All of them came from dragon crystals based on Edward's backstory, and they can't be taught to humans. That's what I mean. Like, that's what I meant by like they can decide to give the crystal to humans or thingy, or the vampires. The thing that makes it difficult is the books, right? Because the books are meant to be just instructions, and maybe we would have to make that clear that like the way vampires learn abilities is slightly different to the way humans learn abilities. So even the instructions wouldn't quite work out. I want to know, as it's just an Easter, but when Trujin visits the school to take abilities, one of the names called is a Dem. Is this when Trujin visits the school to take? No. I can't remember. I also, at the beginning of My Vampire System, I used Blade as a name. And I didn't know I was going to use that name later on. And then I used that Blade name for a really important thing. So I've changed that first name now in the next books that's going to come out. 2 minutes. I'm gonna try read anything I can see because because it skipped down to the bottom again. Any update on My Vampire Awakening, like date wise, when we can expect? Like I said, originally I wanted to do My Vampire Awakening at the same time of Legendary Blood Hunter. I've been editing the My Vampire System books, which has taken up all my time. Once I'm done with that, I kind of want a bit of a break from not starting a new series. So then it depends how close it is to the next year. If because that has to come out on web novel because web novel own My Vampire System, and because it has Quintalon in it, it's considered a direct sequel, and so I cannot have the rights to that story, so it has to be on web novel. And the best thing to do is post it for web novel's yearly competition. Now you can still join like halfway through and still be eligible to win, but if it's like beyond the halfway point, so if it's past June, then it will be delayed till January because there's being part of that competition gives it a big chance of getting spread out and all that stuff. So that's why I said like at the latest I want it to be January next year, which will be the start of the next competition. So I might actually still start writing it this year, but yeah. Will there be more Rays Cromwell? At this moment, no. But again, never say never. I do like Rays. I do like the story of Pagna. I do like all of that. Is Bliss tied to all systems, or is it more NO is attached to all systems? I'd say it's more NO is attached to all systems rather than Bliss, especially Legendary Blood Hunter, which you'll find later in the story. But Bliss is zero involved in Legendary Blood Hunter system. Does Storage Crystal work on all ability or only the shadow ability? I don't know. Again, I can't remember the rules for that. So if the original Dragon GS Crystal got given to a human, it would have manifested in a way that would have adapted to human DNA. Yes, exactly. That's what I mean. So a human still would have. Now, I might, again, set up some rules, like, because I haven't done it fully, but set up some rules like only certain humans probably could have learned it, or maybe it would have killed a lot of people, so they have to find someone that's strong enough, and then it could have been passed down or whatever. But yeah, that's what I'm basically saying is like the Dragon GS Crystal could have gone to a human or a vampire. Last question: have you made yourself laugh writing any parts of your stories? Any specifics off the top of your head? Not while writing, but what happened is because it's been so long since I read My Vampire System. When I looked at, someone posted like, "Oh, funniest bits from My Vampire System," and I read all the comments, and the comments and jokes made me. The jokes in the story made me laugh because I can't remember. It's been so long, and I'm like, "Oh, that is funny," and obviously it's my humor in the stories. So while I'm writing it, I don't think, "Ha, this is hilarious," but because it's been so long, then when I read the story again and I read those jokes, they make me laugh. Why are Celestials afraid of Rey? Because they're afraid of dragons, and Rey is the strongest dragon, you know. Could Inu gain a soul weapon? I think didn't Inu had? Oh, Inu has the ability, right? Yeah, I think there's a potential for it to go on. Why did Bliss decide to work with Lenny Steele / Richard Eno? I might explore more of that, but I think you can kind of come up with your own conclusion with what is already out there. Could the Greens bring back Mage to human or figure out how to make a magic core? And if he do, can he create a Mage City better than Alter? I think that's mixing up stories. So if you can you tell us something about Minnie in MVA? Fanta, I think you want Minnie to play a bigger part in MVA, and originally I didn't plan for much, but maybe just for you I'll include her a bit more. Thank you for your books and series. Love them. I wish you the best in your writing career and your also Grammy. Also, thank you. Will the system have interaction with each other in MVA like the summon ability Quinn had or something? I haven't decided those parts yet. Thanks again, bro. Keep up the great work. What's the ETA on the Vampire Punisher on it coming out? The issue is, so the same writer is writing Vampire Punisher and the Godslayer. We have not gotten a really good rhythm of writing Godslayer yet. Once we've gotten in a good rhythm of writing Godslayer, then I would like to do Vampire Punisher. And part of that rhythm is my fault because I'm working on all these outside things. Once all these outside things come to the end, then I can look at Vampire Punisher. Then we can start getting into rhythm of that. So my guess is 2 months, maybe, until we see like the first Vampire Punisher chapter. Okay, I'm going to do 3 more questions. Last question. If Erin was that important, why Bliss didn't give her the Godslayer ability? She gave Rush Chain, and I already answered that. I already answered that at the beginning. But Logan got all of Dr. Eno's information, how to create Dark Keys, magic, everything. Sorry, wait. You're grateful for Envious was first story like that I've ever listened to, read. Love them all. Thank you for making amazing stories. Thank you for reading them. Literally, I cannot stress enough. I just write stories I enjoy writing. Like, you know, I could not work on something that I don't like writing. So, yeah. And so thankfully there are people that enjoy what I like. Okay, so these are the last 2 questions. I'm not answering anymore after this. Will Gary then get a armor set worthy to compare with Ray's and Quinn's that got with his hammer or no? That's a spoiler. So, well, saying it's a spoiler kind of says he will, but maybe not compared, but you know, we'll see. Will Legendary Blood Hunter show how the Greens got their power since MVS didn't show it? No, is the answer. Because of timelines and things like that, it won't show too much to do with the Greens. All right, guys. That is going to be the end of the stream. So no more questions. It's been 2 hours and 5 minutes. And thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I hope... I hope you continue reading stories. At the end of Legendary Blood Hunter, I will do another one. Patreon is the best place to read it for now, but it will come out on Amazon. Stay following on Discord, Facebook, Instagram, and everything will be posted there. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.